What's going on, man? Welcome back to the basement. I'm Ron, and today we're going to get into my favorite streamers for this week 2 of fantasy football. We're going to get into my quarterbacks, tight ends, kickers, and defenses, my top 3 at quarterback and tight end, my top 2s at kicker and defenses, all under 50% owned on ESPN. I figured this would be a fun video to do on Saturdays where, it's a little bit more laid back, and I know some of you guys are streaming quarterbacks and tight ends and all that good stuff. So this is a nice video to kind of wrap up the week before we get into Sunday. When you're making those last-minute waiver decisions where you have to go pick up a quarterback or a tight end and have to start them right away. Now, this is going to be one take Drake. I don't have enough time to edit this video because I'm door dashing tonight. And during the season, it's hard to do a lot of editing. So this is going to be one take Drake, one-man show here. I'm going to be doing all the editing, putting graphics on screen and all that good stuff. So let's not waste any more time. Let's get straight into this video. Make sure you go down below, subscribe, leave a like. Let's go.
Thirsty, trying to choose. I know I'm critical. My nitty babe.
All right, and we're back. I actually kind of love doing videos like this because, when it's one take and I can't, take pauses and, I screwed up. It's kind of nice to go on the fly. It kind of helps me get better at talking behind this mic and on camera because this is kind of a weird thing to do all the time. But I don't know, it's fun. Now, let's actually get into the task at hand here. Let's talk about this first quarterback. And this is a luxury quarterback streamer. A lot of these are going to be under 50% owned. And I know I already said that in the opening, part of this video. But I couldn't help myself with this one because Baker Mayfield has a juicy matchup. This is a luxury stream, I would call it. 66% owned. So he's available in one of my leagues. He might be available in some of yours. And his matchup is too juicy. He's at home against Houston, and they're going to blow him out. The Browns are minus 12.5 point favorites in a game with a 48-point over-under, which gives the Browns an implied over-under or team total of 30.5. That's the second highest of the week. This is going to be a team that scores points. I think, Odell Beckham isn't there. There's a chance that we could see a Baker Mayfield rushing touchdown. There's going to be a lot of rushing touchdowns, like Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt could both have rushing touchdowns, but you're kind of betting on the idea that, maybe Baker finds Njoku or Hooper in the end zone. I could see Baker having like 250 yards and 2 touchdowns in this game. I think he's a very safe start. He's a back-end quarterback one, a fringe top 12 guy, and if he's on your waivers, this is a great week to start him. And another guy who is we're not going to find, especially at quarterback, guys that have that home run type potential, but I think Big Ben is a great start this week. He's 35.7% owned, so much more acquirable, if you will. And he's at home against Las Vegas, and that's the matchups we want. We want to play Big Ben when he's at home. In the last 3 years, so from 2019 to 2021, Big Ben has averaged 20 points per game at home as opposed to 17.15 on the road. So he's a lot better at home. We want that. They're at Heinz Field, at home against Las Vegas. We know Las Vegas isn't a great defense. We know, I think the Steelers probably just have a field day on them. And Big Ben is one of these quarterbacks like a Sam Darnold where the passing weapons are so good, or even like a Joe Burrow where the passing weapons are so good, they're going to have their weeks in fantasy. And I love this matchup. They're like -6 as home favorites at home. Going to probably destroy, I wouldn't say destroy Las Vegas, but they're going to kind of have their way with Las Vegas. They're not a great defense. I'm trying to think who their corners even are. I don't know if Damon Arnett is still starting out there. But for me, Big Ben's a pretty easy top 15 play this week. I don't see much downside here, unless if you believe that Big Ben is just completely washed at this point. But that is going to be our second quarterback, and then going a little bit deeper. This is a deep one. We're going to talk Teddy Bridgewater. Now, I'll be honest with you guys, at no point am I trying to start Teddy Bridgewater. Teddy Bridgewater is not someone I would like on my roster. It's not pretty, but we're going a little bit deeper here. Maybe, I don't know, maybe you're playing in one of those leagues with the boomers where everybody owns 2 to 3 quarterbacks. Maybe you're in a super flex league. I doubt that Teddy Bridgewater's on waivers, or maybe it's a 14-team league. Something weird out there, but he gets the Jaguars in Jacksonville. Now, if Tyrod Taylor put up a top 15 performance against the Jags last week, I don't think it's crazy to expect Teddy Bridgewater to be able to do something in that range. This is a bottom 10 team in 2020 against opposing quarterbacks in fantasy football. The Jaguars defense is still bad, and it's a sneaky good matchup, especially because Teddy Bridgewater looked good last week, and we now have a spot where he's going against the Jaguars as a good matchup, and then he's also a good stream for next week. So I don't mind looking ahead and something like that because now he gets the Jets next week. So this is 2 back-to-back good matchups, and if you're in a deep league and you need a quarterback for more than 1 week, Teddy Bridgewater fits in there perfectly. And then when we go to the tight ends, we're going to talk about Jared Cook, a guy who has been in the league for damn near 15 years at this point, and he gets Dallas on the road. And I talked about this in my previous video, my wide receiver video. Actually, I feel like my glasses are all dirty. I feel like this is actually the first time I've ever been on camera without my glasses on. That's my bad. I should have cleaned them beforehand. I feel like they were all dirty. But they might not have even been dirty. I don't know. But Dallas, again, I want as many pieces in this game as possible. Dallas versus the Chargers, super high over under, the highest of the week. It's gonna be a shootout. But Dallas let Gronk run absolutely wild last week. Scored like 2 touchdowns, and Jared Cook is sneakily. This should have been taken down a while ago, but this sneakily is a really good matchup for Jared Cook because, like I said, they let Gronk go wild, but then Jared Cook also got a lot of volume last week. Jared Cook is going to be involved in this passing game. I know we were talking about Donald Parham in the offseason, or people were talking about Donald Parham. This is all Jared Cook, man. He had the 3rd most targets last week at 8 targets. 8 targets is no joke at the tight end spot. So if he can get some volume in this game, it's the highest over-under of the week. I think that Jared Cook, honest to God, is like a top 10 play this week. I think he's going to get targets probably in that 5 to 8 target range. He could fall in the end zone. He's a very good tight end stream this week. And after that, we go Gerald Everett versus Tennessee. Now, these ones are nowhere near as strong as Jared Cook. If Jared Cook is on your waivers, he's easily like the strongest tight end play that you could possibly stream. But moving off of that, we have Gerald Everett versus Tennessee at home at Seattle. And this is just another high over-under game. I want to say it's like 44 or 54.5. And I'll just take all the pieces I can get from this Seattle versus Tennessee game. Or I guess, on the Tennessee side, it's a little bit wonky because of what they did last week. But from the Seattle side, we just saw the Cardinals put up, 38 points? Something crazy against Tennessee. And when you have that, I want to have pieces on that other side, especially Gerald Everett. This could be a potential shootout, like I said, and he could easily see a touchdown. He has the 5th highest advantage on PFF. PFF has this metric where they take in the tight end grades and then the guy who's going to be covering them, that grade, and they put it against each other and see who has the best advantage from tight end to linebacker. Gerald Everett has the 5th highest advantage this week, so he's apparently supposed to, dice up Jayon Brown a little bit for the Tennessee Titans. Also, sneaky deep start. I'll give you guys this bonus one. I want to say he's on this list. Yeah, CJ Uzomah. Oh my God, this hasn't been shown the entire time. You hate to see it. Let's run that back real quick. You guys can see Gerald Everett is 5th here, 30%, and then you also have. I'm trying to point to you guys. Yeah, so then we have Uzomah right here, going up against Alec Ogletree. I didn't even know Alec Ogletree was still in the league. I think he got drafted by the Rams in 2012, 2013. And look, if you're in a deep league, I'm saying very deep league, CJ Uzomah actually makes a lot of sense just because he has such an advantage over Ogletree. Ogletree must be very bad at guarding tight ends. But I will also say that Chicago has Roquan Smith, so I don't know why he's that downgraded, if that makes sense. But CJ Uzomah, very, very sneaky start. I'm not saying if you're in a 14-team league, 16-team league, getting desperate. Now, our 3rd and final tight end that we're going to be streaming this week is Kmet versus Cincinnati, and I'm a big fan of Kmet's game. I think that he was a solid prospect. He looked good last year. If you look on the back end, he started out targeting and out snapping Jimmy Graham, and I think he's finally coming into that role of being, the number 1 tight end in Chicago. It really just comes down to whenever Justin Fields comes in and takes over the starting role, and I think that could actually be this week. Now, obviously, we're not banking on that when we're taking Kmet here, but Kmet got very promising usage. He got 16 slot snaps. He saw 7 targets last week, which matched TJ Hawkinson's target share. He's really getting used in this role where a breakout is coming for Kmet soon. I don't know if it's going to happen before the Justin Fields breakout or Justin Fields becoming the starting quarterback, but they're at home against Cincinnati. I think it's a fine matchup. He's probably going to be 2nd or 3rd on the team in targets. I just like, when we're streaming these ugly tight ends, you want to see slot snaps, you want to see targets, and you're just hoping for a touchdown. I think Kmet's a decent bet to do that. And we're going to move on to the defenses. Talk a little bit about the Packers. They got steamrolled last week. I started them in a few places. I want to say they got me -3, maybe more than minus. I think -3 might be doing them a little bit, being a little bit generous there. But I think that this is a big rebound game for the Packers. I feel like I've mentioned this game in almost every video this week. They're favored by 11 points. I think they're going to stomp the Lions. This is like such a bad Monday Night Football game too. I don't know why they had to schedule this for Monday Night Football. The Lions versus the Packers minus 11. And what this does when you're starting a defense, you want to have those teams that run up the score on people like a Packers, because what that does is now the Lions are going to be behind. They have to throw a lot. And when you have to throw a lot, that leads to more interceptions and more sacks, which gives you more fantasy points. Also, Detroit allowed the 7th most fantasy points to opposing defenses last year. So this is a very good matchup. You now have, the Packers are going to be up big the whole game. So it's a really good matchup. And I want to say people probably soured on the Packers and dropped them at 22.8% rostership. They're probably on benches or on waivers in your league. And then we have one that's deeper. And I feel much better about the Packers than I do the Cardinals. But we'll talk about the Cardinals for a second. They're 26.6% owned. It's not a great matchup against the Vikings this week. They're at home against the Vikings. So, the defenses at home do a little bit better. But there's a chance that this Cardinals defense is just elite. Like, they could just be a very good defense. Budda Baker looked great. Chandler Jones looked great. J.J. Watt looked great. I didn't see a lot of Isaiah Simmons, but they just got a lot of pieces on that defense. And they just put up the highest points of week 1 against the Titans. They held the Titans to only 13 points. A good offense that we know. There's a chance that while a lot of us are panicking on the Titans, maybe the Cardinals are just an elite defense. They could just be great. And they have a matchup against the Jaguars next week. So you can grab them. And say the Packers aren't on waivers, there isn't a good defense on waivers, you get the Cardinals, you can maybe eat this dud, even if they don't do well against Minnesota. They have Jacksonville next week. They'll be one of the top streamers in week 3. So it's kind of like a look ahead, and then it's also maybe the Cardinals are elite. Like the Cardinals could just be that breakout defense that could be like a top 5 type fantasy defense this year. Now we're going to go to the kickers. And I'll be honest here. Predicting kickers is weird. There's only so much you can say outside of just how many points are going to be scored. And the guy that I have as my number 1 streamer is Robbie Gould. He's the kicker 4 currently. He has a great matchup against the Eagles. There's a solid over-under of like 50. And I'm going to be honest with you guys, the guy that I respect the most for his kicker rankings is this guy on Reddit. His name's Subvertodown. I'll put a link down in the comments. He has, in my opinion, the best weekly kicker and defense rankings. I used them all last year. I still use them to this day. And Robbie Gould is available in 14.3% of leagues, and he is Subvertodown's number 1 kicker this week. I think number 1 kicker, he was his number 1 kicker maybe last week. I don't know what it is about Robbie Gould that he loves, but Robbie Gould has a stamp of approval from this guy. And someone that's even a little bit he's 8th on this list is Ryan Succop. He's my second kicker. Now, he isn't even the highest person on here that has under 50% ownership, but I like Ryan Succop in this matchup against Atlanta at home. They're minus 12.5 favorites in a 52-point over-under game. So this is a very weird situation where it's going to be a high-scoring game. It's going to be very lopsided, which means that the Bucs have the highest team total of the whole entire slate. And I was talking about Baker Mayfield being a great start because they have the second highest team total. The Bucs are implied to score over 32 points, which is crazy. There's going to be a lot of points, a lot of kicking opportunities. I'm not sure. I don't think that Atlanta is going to even. I think that Atlanta probably rolls over, not even to the point where the Bucs will have to kick a lot of field goals, but it'll be a situation where there'll be extra points, there'll be field goals, there'll be all that good stuff. So I like Robbie Gould and Ryan Succop. Now that's going to do it for us today. We made it. Week 2 starts tomorrow. I will be live. I'll be live Sunday morning. I might be live Saturday afternoon. I do have some plans Saturday afternoon, so I don't know if I'll be live. I want to get YouTube has a membership program. I want to see if I can integrate the membership in the Patreon, so I can give more exclusive stuff to the Patreon where you guys can have your own badges and I can see you guys in the chat. Maybe even Patreon only live streams and stuff. Just cool stuff like that. Let me take this off the screen real quick. But yeah, man, that's where my head's at. I hope all you guys did well in these matchups. Sadly, Antonio Gibson and Saquon Barkley didn't look amazing last night. I'm recording this Friday. I also want to say, this is probably going to be my top 10 takeaways video, but at this point, I'm just rambling. Saquon had an 80-something% snap share. He had that big 40-yard run. I'm very excited about Saquon Barkley against Atlanta next week. I don't know why, but I had to just get that off my chest. Now, as always, I love you guys. I'm going to go DoorDash now, probably pick up some snacks beforehand. And as always, I'll see you guys in the next one.